Good morning, everybody. Betting for breakfast. I'm Mark Drumheller here with Dave Gleckner, powered by the Sharp app, right? Huge Game 7 coming up in the NBA. Guys, if you have not been following the Sharp app, you got to get involved. Subscribe here on the YouTube channel, download the app, and get into Discord. All those links are below. Giving out free props every day. Everybody's making a killing. You guys have been getting in on these props. Let us know exactly how you're making out because they're over 100 units and they got winners on there every day. So basketball has been fun over at the Sharp app. Get involved. But Dave, Jimmy Butler woke up in Game 6 last night and forced a Game 7 in a series that I can't seem to get right on a game-by-game basis. It's just like, the road teams are better than the home teams, and it's just doesn't follow some of the things we've seen historically in the NBA. Every game's a blowout. Last night we did have a little bit of a closer game. It was probably like the first time in the series, but fascinating series to begin with. And now we get the all-important Game 7, which I think everybody's excited for. I've been a little low on Jimmy Butler coming in, but he definitely showed up last night.
Yeah, what a game. I mean, there's no way, most of the public, anyone out there could have really confidently put their money on the Heat. I didn't. I stayed away, actually. But they did it, and they came in, they played their style of basketball, which was obviously physical, and Boston doesn't shy away from physical, but they were able to get Tatum kind of just out of his game. He had that stretch in the second quarter when he scored like 13 straight. But outside of that, you look at the fourth quarter, and I mean, I think he put up 2 shot attempts, had 4 turnovers. It's what they wanted to do, run different people at him, run multiple people at him. And it worked out for one game. I mean, the Heat weren't going to go whatever it was from 3, like 20%, like they did in Game 5. But it was all Jimmy, like you said. I was a little down on him too, especially after Game 5. I mean, what was it, 9 points he averaged in 3 games?
Yeah, I mean, if this is the first game he showed, I shouldn't say the first game.
Game 1.
This is the first game of importance that I feel like he showed up.
Yeah, I guess you could. I love Jimmy. I want to love Jimmy, but then I get distracted by all these people that overlove Jimmy, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, they make you not like him.
Yeah, and I do really like at the end of the game, he's just like, I thought he did decent. And Kyle Lowry's like, what? But I mean, he's not that guy that's out there yapping at refs. He's not that guy who's getting overexcited. He's out there to kill you, like to put it in best terms. He is out there just do
He's
damage.
A competitor for sure.
And I just love that about him. I think he plays best, thrives best when he's in that role of underdog, everybody doubting him. That's what it was in Game 6. Guess what? It's probably going to be the same in Game 7.
Yeah, well, that you brought up an excellent point, and I think that kind of it's like Jimmy, like it's almost like he makes you forget about him, and then like once his back's against the wall, like he comes out swinging. And I will be interested to see how it responds into Game 7 because I just my issue with Jimmy is I haven't seen him be able to do it consistently, right? Like he hasn't been consistently able to do it. He'll pop up, have a big game, back against the wall, then it disappears again, right? And Game 7 at home in Miami, a lot of implications. We'll get sticking with Game 6 for a little bit. Obviously, Boston self-destructed down the stretch after battling back. Just some real bad fouls by Derek White had one. Like there were so many I couldn't really count. The officials obviously made their presence felt towards the end of the game. What did you think of the charge on Jaylen Brown, little Oladipo?
It's a charge. I really do. I think it is. The questionable part is
his shoulders.
There were no challenges left, right? And but they could replay it because they were going to call it a charge or a block depending if he was in the restricted area. So I get that, and I'm good with that, and I think they got it right. I honestly think it was a charge. And what was it, a 4-point game at that time or 5? So 12 seconds. I'm not sure it really changes a ton, but what do you think?
It put the nail in the coffin. I think it's tough, right? And it's like it's hard. I think it's hard to call a charge in that spot, which I hate that kind of answer because it's like a charge should be a charge. But I did felt like, and I guess it depends on your interpretation of the rule. But I did feel like Oladipo kind of turned himself like towards him, even though he had position. Like it was like I felt like he pivoted over and kind of brought his shoulders, but regardless, when Brown drove, I was like, what are you doing? Like, I wanted him to pull up from 3 right there. Like, you're down a significant amount. Like I said, I forget whether it was, 4 or 5 or what the situation was, but the 3 would have helped you. It was a wide open look, and it was almost like he got gun shy and was like, oh no, I'm going to take it to the rack. But he didn't, like, he was unsure, it seemed like the whole time.
Yeah, I do think he went in a little slower than usual. Here's what I don't like about the rule, and whatever, like the turn, I think is just a natural reaction. I got you there. I don't like that you can slide under a guy when he gets airborne, and
when he's in the air. Yeah,
and I feel like that's what happened. Like, if you're there before he takes off, cool, we're good, right? But I think he's starting to take off. Then he gets his position. I hate that. That's what I don't like. But yeah, like you said, regardless, I would have liked Jaylen to pull up from that spot just because. Listen, you got nothing to lose. You got to get buckets. You can't trade 2s. You can't because you're going to foul.
No, not at that point. No, not with them.
And it's wide open, right? And he hit one earlier.
It was wide open.
Yeah, he did it in the first quarter. He came up and he did a transition 3, even with a little more, probably pressure in his face, and he made it. So I mean, I'm with you. I probably would have pulled up there, but in the end, what it told me was, and I don't know if you're with me on this. Listen, I still think, like I was thinking going into that game, Boston's going to beat Golden State. Last night is the first time I'm probably in the whole entire playoffs. I'm now a little nervous that Boston can beat Golden State. You got to be able to close these games. And they just keep playing with house money, and house money wins eventually. Like, you just can't. Like, I think they will get in the game 7. Man, you can't keep messing around with these teams and stretching out the game 7s and then expect to beat one of the best, teams we've seen in a long, long time. Well, team, not maybe this year, but like the Steph, Clay, Draymond. I'm a little nervous now. I don't know how you feel about Boston after that.
Yeah, it's going to be tough, man. And, Daryl checking in, really enjoys this. Thanks, man. We appreciate you checking in and supporting us, Daryl. We love bringing you the content. And the USFL stuff is coming up. So I got a good one that I hopped on the second the lines open. I think it's just a misprice in the market. So we got a good one for tomorrow's game that I'm going to be talking about in a little bit after the NBA stuff. But Dave, getting back to the Celtics, I do think they missed their window, not to win the series, but I do think they missed their window to beat Golden State. Because it's not, I was on BetMGM tonight and I kind of talked about it. And it's not that I don't think that they're the better team, but I just think that fatigue plays into it. And like, you can't be in all these wars and just expect to keep, to run with a team like Golden State when you get to the finals. Like, that's the issue. Like, the 7-game, and even though like they swept Brooklyn, like
that was tough.
Very big series, right? Emotionally, right? Very big series. They had to work. Like, it wasn't like an easy series by any means. Now, it wasn't Milwaukee. Milwaukee was 7 games. Giannis has blood running down his forehead. Like, that tells you the kind of series that was, right? And then you get into Miami and you got people hurt. It's like, a mass unit every other game. You never know who's playing, who's not, right? And now you're going to go and you're going to play Golden State. And, they're sitting there taking a nap, man. They're
probably the deepest team, right? I mean, now Golden State turns out they throw Poole at you. They throw Kuminga. They can sit Steph for periods of time because they're comfortable with their bench. Yeah, Boston's not.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I got a positional Boston to win the title. I'm just going to ride with it. I'm probably not going to bet the series. If they do advance and get to play Golden State, I'm probably just going to ride with what I have instead of hedging it. Like, listen, if you guys are in a similar position, you need hedging advice, there's one way to get it, man. We have a handful of professional handicappers in the Sharp app Discord. Get in there. Get in the NBA channel and start asking. We have educational tools and resources on the YouTube channel that can walk you through that process. But we also have expert handicappers, guys that do this for a living. And like I said, you get all the benefits of the Sharp app on there. So you want to hedge, get in the Discord, get involved. But, Dave, moving on to game 7, like if we talk about game 7 here, Boston comes out small favorite. Obviously, a big difference from the 8.5 that we saw in game 6. We got about a 6-point difference. The location flips down to the beautiful sunny skies of Miami. And that's a place where Boston has won 2 or 3 games already. And I'm torn in this one in the sense that my whole reasoning that Boston would win Game 7 against Milwaukee was Milwaukee's not going to win 3 out of 4 in Boston, right? And now here we are. The shoe is on the other foot, and I need Boston to win 3 out of 4 in Miami. They're a small favorite here. We got the total down to 197. You can get some 197.5 if you want, but Game 7, obviously, slower pace. Possessions are more important. Everybody's hammering the under. Total coming in low. People are still going to hammer it. It's probably going to get hammered all the way to game time. What are your thoughts on Game 7 side and total?
Yeah, I'll start with the total. Last night went off at 201, which was a little high compared to the 2 games before that. Games 4 and 5 were played in the 170, 180 range. So I think this number is kind of set where you need it to be. And I would probably lean under. I hate betting unders.
Yeah, I bet the under already. Yeah.
But yeah, I would take an under in this game. Listen, last time it was in Miami, 93-80, 173. You wouldn't even have a drop of sweat at this number. So I think you're going to see something similar. Probably finish in the high 180s. We're going to see a 90s game, in my opinion. But as we go for the line, I really do think it's the Celtics. I'm with you. I have a lean on them to win the ECF, Eastern Conference Finals, as well as win the NBA title. So I'll probably stay off this and then just try and ride that one and have some fun. If this balloons up to 3.5, 4, I might hedge with Miami. That's where I might but not money line. I'll just take a couple points and maybe try and win both, right? But I think Boston still is the better team. I think they have shown resilience. Every time they lose, they bounce back and win a game. I don't think they've lost 2 straight in these playoffs yet. And at this point, I think we gotta look at Boston and understand that was a slip up. But I think they're going to be the more focused, more charged team, if that makes any sense, just based upon their resiliency throughout these playoffs. I lean Boston.
Yeah, I do too. But again, I don't like it. Like, I don't like them not closing it out in 6 games, having to get in there. Like, I think we're going to see a big game out of Tatum. I think they're going to put the clamps on Butler. I think they'll be able to win the game, but I really thought they had a chance to take on Golden State. But, with this getting pushed to 7, we know the history of how teams perform in Game 1 coming off Game 7. So even if they survive, you can already count it up to hey, you know what? They're going to drop. They're going to be 0-1 in the series against Golden State. And what that does is then you have to beat Golden State, 4 out of 6 games, right? Yeah. It's an uphill battle, but that's Golden State's a smash spot in Game 1 for sure. If you're playing a game, just money line parlay with Golden State.
But it is Thursday. They're going to.
Yeah, but it doesn't.
No, I'm with you. Yeah. But it's not like the last one where they had to go to Miami with 1 day.
Right, real quick. After a day and a half, they had to move. Yeah. But no, just historically, it's been tough on these teams. And I think in the NBA Finals, it's probably even tougher. And you got Golden State getting the rest. Whatever rest Boston gets, Golden State's going to get more. I'm sad because I tell you, I don't like this Warriors team. But you know what? Things broke their way, and they're taking advantage.
I don't love them either. I think I used to love them. There's something about them this year, but it did break their way. They are still going to have to beat good teams to get there. They just have had the, let's say, right situations. Listen, Dallas, not top 2 team in Western Conference. Nice team. Coming off 7-game series against the number 1, a perfect situation for them, right?
Yeah. Nuggets. Memphis without Ja.
Yeah. Nuggets. Come on. I don't even get me started on Jokic and this stuff.
I don't know. I was wrong. I thought they would be out against Memphis. That didn't happen. Well, but with Ja, it's a little different. But
no, and it's not just that. Memphis gave away 2 games in that series. Once I knew that they handed 2 away to them, they couldn't come back from that. They're just a little too young. That's what it was in that series.
I think so too. But Boston. I like them here in Game 7, though. That's the side I would lean, but the play is the under. I would smash the under for sure. But let's move on.
Just one thing, that Memphis series. Remember, they had to go 6 versus Minnesota, but they were the longest first-round series. That was a tough one. Golden State just keeps getting these teams coming off these tough series. Every series, they've got a 6 or 7 game team coming to them. So, you're right. It
definitely broke their way, but there's two things that has surprised me, right? And the first one's Wiggins. Like, I think he's been kind of
Yeah.
like the catalyst, like the unsung hero, even though he's getting a lot of publicity. Like, he's really like what makes them like good, great to elite. You know what I mean? Like, when he's playing and hitting, on both ends of the court and he's effective, they're a different team. And the other thing is the health. Like, I didn't think they'd stay healthy.
Yeah.
And they're getting all the health, I don't know if you want to call it luck, but they're getting all the health luck. So and they're going to get more because they're going to get a battered Boston team or Miami, whatever team advances. They're going to see in the finals, but it'll be a fun NBA finals regardless. It's going to be exciting. Can't wait. But let's move on to the Diamond. Major League Baseball, Dave. I know you're doing a lot of good work with Win Daily Sports. What kind of plays do you have for today? Bets or DFS advice? What do you got cooking in the kitchen?
Yeah, I'll give 2 bets out on this show because the Sharp app, that's what we do here. Betting for breakfast, that's what we do. So I'll lean 2 bets today, give you them quick. First off, go a little early. I'll give you an early one and late one. I do like the Cleveland Guardians today against the Detroit Tigers. Shane Bieber back on the mound. They got rained out last night. Bieber, last time he went out, he pitched against the Tigers, went strong. He got, I think, 10 Ks against them, only let up 2 earned runs, but took the loss. And he gets the same matchup again today against Fido of the Tigers. Do you really see Bieber losing 2 in a row? The Guardians losing 3 in a row to one of the worst teams in baseball. I say probably not. You're getting 155, which is a pretty good number with an ace like Bieber. He's had 2 straight really, really good games. And if you take away, I know you can't, but if you take away one bad start this season, his ERA is right around 2. He got roughed up by Toronto. So he really is getting undervalued in the market. And I'll lean on the Guardians today early with Bieber. Give you one later tonight. They're a little bit of a dog. Depends what number you get. I got plus 105 right now, but the Mariners at home against the Astros. Jose Urquidy, the starter for the Astros, really relies heavily on his fastball, his four-seamer. He's at a 54% clip throwing that pitch. Guess who hits that pitch the best in the MLB? It's the Seattle Mariners. Now, yes, they haven't been great this year, 19-27, but they roughed up Verlander last night for 4 home runs. They hit the fastball well. They're better at home. I think this is a sneaky spot where you can get good value on a team that probably should be favored. They're throwing their ace tonight in Logan Gilbert. He's started to taper off a little bit, but he's still really good, 2.6 ERA. I think they should be favored tonight, and you're getting them with a little bit of plus odds. I like the Mariners tonight to beat the Astros.
Good old Seattle, man. Listen, interesting. I know a couple people that were on Seattle in the beginning of the year. I know they've struggled so far this way. What are your thoughts on them turning it around? Do you think that that's a team that you could kind of look at to get some value as season goes on? Or
Absolutely. So there's a few things there. One of my favorite players on their team, Julio Rodriguez, is an like Wander Franco-ish like phenom coming up from the minors. Got called up to start opening day. Slow start, on fire lately. So they have like these young bats that could really start to turn around. The other thing, they have the former Cy Young Award winner, Robbie Ray. He's been a little bit, let's say, a big disappointment for them. But he started to throw some Ks lately. If he could kind of settle it out, pair with Gilbert at the top, they could come back for a wild card kind of situation. They're not catching the Angels or Astros, though. Those 2 teams, I think, are going to battle that. But I think Seattle could still finish in the 83, 84 win range. Problem is, in the AL, I think it's 90 to get to the playoffs. So I think it's going to be an uphill climb that they probably can't get there, but they can turn it around.
Team to keep an eye on for sure, though. If you can get it right before they get hot and start making a push, that's where you make your money. Our guy Shady checking in. Arroyo, our guy. No UFC this weekend, brother. What are we going to do, right? We got nothing else to do. I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to bet on USFL, right? So let's talk about the USFL, Dave. We got a couple minutes here. One of the bets that I like the most that jumped out at me once the lines came out, I got this very early. Sharp app members got it very early. The line is not as good as now, but I still think it's a play, and that's tomorrow night's late game on Peacock. Unfortunately, you don't get to see it unless you get the cock. But Peacock NBC streaming app will be broadcasting this one. Philadelphia Stars and Houston Gamblers. So this is 2 teams. The Stars, big win last week, 3-3. Spread offense, 4 wide. They try and spread you out. They like to score points. They move fast. Think Chip Kelly. Think Oregon offense, right? They are at a negative play differential almost every week. I think it was minus 26 and 23 the last 2 weeks, right? They move fast and the defense suffers. Same sort of thing, right? Worst defense in the NFL, in the USFL. And this line opened up at 41 on the total, 41.5. Smashed it. They got a whole bunch of me. Trust me. It's up now to 44. I still think this is a play, and I'm going to tell you why. The Philadelphia defense, they haven't allowed a team to score. They haven't held a team to under 23 points all year. Everybody scores on this Stars defense. Everybody puts up big numbers. Last week's game, 35-28 against Tampa. That game was at 60. I'm doing math now, 63. Overs in general have been trending up in the USFL. 10-1-1 over the past 3 weeks, 8-0 the past 2 weeks. So we've seen some adjustments. No more totals in the low 30s. They're kind of getting into no more totals in the high 30s. They're now into the low 40s. This one, it got bet up to 44. It's still a play to the over. The Gamblers, since week 2, right? Week 1, they played Jeff Fisher's Michigan Panthers, and it was like a rock fight, 17-12. Since then, last 5 weeks, they've averaged close to 26 points per game, right? They got the best running back in the USFL in Mark Thompson. And what's the Stars' weakness on defense? They can't stop anybody from running, right? The Generals, the Panthers, all rushed for over 230 yards against this Stars defense. They're going to let up a ton of yards on the ground. Houston is, even last week, their offense has been getting better. Last week against the Generals, one of the top teams in the USFL, probably the second or first rated defense, depending on what metrics you're using. They couldn't run the ball at all. And they still put up 6 yards per play against the Generals defense. So Clayton Thorsten and the offense, they get some big plays. They move the ball down the field, but they're just kind of like, they haven't learned to win. They're 1-5, and that's why they throw timely interceptions, bad turnovers, guys pick up fumbles and then ladder it and lose the ball. We saw that last week. So the Gamblers can't get it right. They're not a team that, I would be like, hey, take the Gamblers here on the money line. But this over is a play. Like I said, everybody scores on Philly. Nobody's been held to 23 points or less. Philly's rush defense is terrible. Gamblers got the best running back in the USFL. So they're going to score points. And, Philly's offense was humming 35 points last week. They spread the Tampa Bay defense out. They ran the ball a little bit more, so we saw them a little more balanced, but they're still 4 wide, quick tempo. They keep the game moving. So their scores typically up higher. So I like it over 44. I definitely think is a play in this game.
Nice. Like I always love to kind of close out the weekend. That's going to be going on right before Game 7 of the NBA Eastern Conference Finals. So pretty cool. I probably won't have it because I don't get the Peacock, but I'll
get the Peacock.
I'll find a way to watch it. But hey, let me ask you 2 interesting things.
You gotta get some. What are you gonna do? You gonna go in the dark web and stream it? You gonna get some black market cock?
No. I think I'll just get some phone cock. I'll just watch it on
there. You go. Right. Watch it on the phone. There you go. Perfect.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
2 questions for you in the USFL, quick ones, because I know you've been keeping good tabs. What do we take of this New Jersey team? Obviously, their first loss of the year, was early in the season, week 1 against Birmingham, had won 5 straight, had to squeak one out on 4th and goal in the last play of the game last week. Since the switch at quarterback, it looks like the offense is definitely better, right? Can we still, are we riding a little lucky streak with New Jersey? Do we like them?
It's tough. So it's hard because in the beginning of the year, they were rotating quarterbacks.
Yeah.
A little bit hard to get a deal of, right? So then they settle on DeAndre Johnson against New Orleans, who's a great defense. They they looked outstanding offensively against New Orleans with Johnson. Then last week in the first quarter, Johnson gets hurt and Perez comes in and the offense doesn't look as good, right? And now the Perez is a starter this week. You're seeing I think the line movements going towards Tampa today. That game comes on probably in about an hour and a half, noon Eastern time. And, they're a small favorite. I think, it's fluctuating around 3 and 4 points. Small favorite against the Tampa team that just lost by 7 to Philadelphia, right? So that kind of tells you that there's some trepidation in the market about what the offense is going to look like under Perez, while Johnson, heals up. And they're probably not going to rush him back because they probably don't have to. They're going to make it into the playoffs anyway. And so that's really what you need to kind of watch out for. I was not a believer in New Jersey before the New Orleans game. I bet New Orleans in that game. I I was like, I don't know. But then they settled on the quarterback and they looked good with them. But are they going to have them? What are they going to look like today? It's kind of tough to tell. I do have a play on it. Sharp app members got that play, but it's, that's really the key is do you want to lay 3-4 points with Luis Perez when, he didn't look great last week. Again, against the Houston defense is one of the worst in the league. These two defenses, Houston and Philadelphia, are 7th and 8th in almost every category.
Yeah.
Like rushing defense, passing defense, yards per play allowed. They're the two worst defenses for sure. And New Jersey didn't look great. They got the win. They squeaked it out, but they didn't look great in the process. And they probably should have lost. Houston just kind of gives games away. It's what they do. But that's going to be interesting. So today's game will tell you a lot about that game and kind of like, how to handicap them going forward until Johnson gets back. When Johnson gets back, they're probably, the second best team, outside of Birmingham, right? They're probably going to, contend for the title, but, we'll have to see when he gets back and what that looks like.
Yeah. And then my second question, you real quick, Pittsburgh Maulers, they kind of played a little better as of late, again, doing a little bit of finally like deciding on who to start under center, but they get the big boys today in Birmingham, 6-0 spread. I don't know. Can you get it high enough now? 12.5. What motivation does Birmingham have in this game today? I feel like this is one where you could have value potentially on the 12.5.
Yeah, well, it is. And there's a lot of like, you can see some, the market going that way. There's 11 in some spots it got down to. And again, like this is the key. Like the quarterbacks have so much to do with it, right? So Birmingham, best team in the league. They look at Jamar. What happened was opening week, Alex Magoo got hurt. Jamar Smith comes in, leads the comeback against New Jersey. They win. And then Jamar Smith takes over for the next couple weeks. The offense looks great. It's incredible, blah, blah, blah. 2 weeks ago, they bring Magoo back. They start him because he's healthy. Offense looks like crap. They have to bench him. They put in Jamar Smith. Everything's fixed. They look great. Last week, Jamar Smith gets to start. He struggles. They went back to Magoo at the end, and he was able to kind of lead them to victory against Michigan. They won like 33-17, but it was a lot of like, so now that like Jamar Smith struggled, I think a lot of people aren't sure what they're going to see at the quarterback position out of Birmingham. And it does make a difference because like with Magoo, they're just more of like a running short passing game type of, he's actually the more mobile quarterback. They run some design quarterback runs with him than they do with Jamar Smith, but it's a different offense, right? And so that's really the key. Like it's people don't know what quarterback they're going to get out of Birmingham. If I knew I was getting Jamar Smith for 4 quarters, I would lay the points with Birmingham. But yep. I don't know that. So if it is Magoo, it's going to be more run-oriented offense, which kind of leans you to kind of take the points, and Pittsburgh's the same thing. So they got rid of their quarterbacks, right? They released them. They brought in Vad Lee from James Madison 2 weeks ago. Offense looks a little bit better, but it was against Houston. They come back. They get the comeback victory against Houston. Then last week, you saw them against a better team, not look as good, but still look decent. So, it's what are they going to look like against the Birmingham front? It's really good. That's going to be tough to see. We do got a question from Daryl. Opinion on Gamblers first half spread and over. Kind of like it. Gambler's been a very good team in the first half. So, you do expect them to start quickly and, to probably run the ball early, you would think. So, I think that's a play. I don't like anything. I don't want anything that's going to depend on the Gamblers winning the game because that's a team that just finds ways to lose, right? And you can't really trust them in that. Do I think they can win this game against Philadelphia? Sure. I think that, Philadelphia with their defense, if Houston does everything they want to with the running game and calls plays correctly and runs the ball down their throat, I think they can win. But someone's been a little bit crazy with like his play calling, and the team just finds ways to lose, man. So like they get dumb penalties, and they're just that team. They're 1-5 on the year. But I like it. I think it's going to be definitely an interesting game, is because I feel like there's tiers. Like we talked about this, Dave. Like there's Birmingham, and then I think there's like New Jersey and New Orleans. and then it's almost like everybody else. And everybody else, like those other 5 teams are kind of all, it depends on like strength and weaknesses. He says 3 upsets in the USFL: Tampa, Panthers, and Gamblers upsets. Not so sure,
possible.
man.
I think it's possible.
Yeah, it's possible.
The one I don't like is the Panthers, but other 2 I think are
Yeah, well, the Panthers, again, we'll talk about quarterbacks. Release Jay Patterson. New Orleans picked him up. He's going to be the backup over in New Orleans, but so I think they're going with Josh Love or Paxton Lynch. They activated Paxton Lynch. They signed Josh Love, so we could see a lot of Paxton Lynch today for the Panthers, which means a lot of designed runs. They like to use him in the running game, but I don't know. I don't like Michigan. I think for them to win that game outright is going to be pretty tough. But the Tampa game, I could see that one because Perez, depending on how Perez plays, like I think they're probably live as an underdog in that matchup. And the Gamblers, yeah, I mean, if they run the ball, if they do nothing but hand the ball to Thompson, they should win that game. But I don't know if someone's going to do that. They find ways to lose. So taking Houston outright is kind of tough. I think they can win the game, but I think there's much better ways to play that game.
Yeah, let me, when we close out here on USFL, one last thing. With the Birmingham-Pittsburgh, do you take into any account, because I'm telling you, I'm leaning Pittsburgh, but the fact that next week New Orleans is on the schedule, the fact that next week it's probably 7-0 versus 5-2, 2 best teams, do you take that into account at all from Birmingham when you cap them a little bit? They've won 2 games with margin recently. Can they do 3 in a row with this big one on the horizon?
Yeah, I don't know if it's like a look ahead spot in that. I probably subscribe to the theory that they keep winning these games with margin. Like, are they ready for a letdown more than them looking ahead to New Orleans? Like, I think the fact that like they're a team that consistently throughout the season, they're like the opposite of Houston. Houston wins the first half and then blows the game, right?
Yeah.
Birmingham blows the first half and then comes back and smashes teams in the second half. And you know what I mean? And so I think they've always, it's like almost like with the Chiefs in the NFL in the sense of like the Chiefs are just like, we'll play with our food and then turn on the light switch. And they've been able to do that. But Birmingham, are they so like them kind of getting just kind of like fatigued with the way they're winning and just kind of, not being motivated and digging themselves a big hole and not being able to bounce back. I could see that as opposed to like them really looking ahead. Like that sort of thing, but who knows? I mean, it's interesting. As we go on in the season, we learn a lot more about these individual teams, but definitely going to be a fun week in the USFL. Can't wait. We learn a lot more each week. And this week's great because after this week, week 7, we'll have seen every team play every team. Yep. So the round robin's complete. They finished the last 3 weeks in the division. They get the rematches in their division before they head into the playoffs. But at least now we have data to see like each team playing against each type of team, what they look like. And, that's really why I feel like in the past couple of weeks, I've been able to get a lot of momentum. I've been 13-3 over the past 3 weeks and really been able to kind of like zero in. So hopefully that continues. It looks like Daryl took Birmingham first half spread. Yeah, they not bad, not bad at all. Pittsburgh, a team definitely, the thing is the behavior of Pittsburgh is their heavy run. Kirby Wilson's like a running backs coach, throughout his, NFL tenure. And, they are a slow starting team. So I think we could see Birmingham come out and have some success. So definitely good luck to you, Daryl. Dave, before we get out of here, I want to talk a little bit NFL, college. Lots of talks going on just about like futures, week 1. Win totals came out for college. There were a couple spots. Has there been anything that caught your eye? Like one of the bets that I saw, I didn't fire on yet, but I'm kind of looking at it is, the Rams plus 200 not to make the playoffs, right? I think a lot of people just assume that this Rams team is going to be back at the top of the NFL. I don't get the impression that this is a Rams team that can handle success well, right? Like, you just look at them like at the draft, they're like making fun of Bill Belichick. And I have a feeling that they think that they're like something they might not be, right?
Yeah, with them, even I think they made fun of themselves about what pick they had in the draft. And they, like you said, they laughed at Belichick for the one pick. I had him as 6th-round value.
Yeah, we thought he'd be there at 104 or something like that,
Yeah, it's a little annoying. But, one of the things that, I still can't wrap my head around is the Eagles. And I know that's locally, and I get it. And if you guys have listened to this for the past couple of years, I'm not a homer. But to sit at 9.5 win total, I know the schedule's a little tougher, but I think there's a lot of value in what the Eagles did in this offseason. I think they've kind of separated themselves from the Giants and the Commanders. They'll be right there with the Cowboys, but we obviously, the Cowboys got worse with, the offsetting on Amari Cooper and a few other key pieces. So I think for them to get to 10 is not really a large ask, but that's one of those that I'm still
Eagles bets are good. Like I mean, I think it's down to like 200 now, but it was at like plus 300 at the draft when they made the trade for AJ Brown. I tweeted that out to win the division. Like I think Eagles futures, they're getting a lot of national hype. That worries me a little bit, right?
Yeah,
it always never plays out well. But yeah, I think they're a play. I think I thought there were some interesting ones in college. Like I think Michigan State's win total was 8. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to replicate what they did last year, but when you look at the Rams, man, that's kind of like same thing. Like with the Rams, like, they're a team because they won. Everybody's kind of like, okay, they're elite. Like they're up there, Kansas City, Buffalo, all that. But they've also play in a tough division, man. Like, you know what I mean? So like, that's where a team you could see could fall quick. Like, because, Arizona, listen, they got a lot going on, but they're still a pretty talented team. Seattle's going to be trash, but San Fran there, they really, it could be a tough road, and they're going to get a tough schedule. So all that stuff. Our guy Shady, chuck it in. He loves to start the car, man. Raiders fan, big year for the Raiders, man. I like what they're doing. Devontae Adams, a lot of hype on the Eagles off season. Yep, 100% sure. Raiders are another team. If you look at, just in a tough division, right? Like that's really like the thing with the Raiders is that division. You got Herbert and the Chargers, you got Denver and Wilson, you got Chiefs and Mahomes. And that division, that AFC West is going to be fun to watch. I think, Denver might be in a lot of trouble in that division, to be honest with you. But listen, we'll hit that stuff all this summer. Cannot wait. We appreciate all you guys tuning in. We'll be back next week. We'll still talk some more NBA Finals, USFL Week 8, as we kind of gear up towards the playoffs, and obviously Major League Baseball. Anything else popping? Anything else going on? Any other markets that we can make money? If you got some ideas, stuff you want to talk about us, just hit us up in the chat. We'd be happy to do that. But Daryl, Arroyo, everybody tuning in, we appreciate you guys. Hopefully everybody wins our bets, and we'll see you guys next week.